think I got it. Hey,
Hey,
what's going on?
there's two fat heads on one screen.
Do you have the biggest iPhone to accommodate your head?
Dude, I have the biggest iPhone that fits in no pockets. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Are you
so in Buffalo?
honestly pretty much the same, like for me? You know what I mean? Like I work from home anyway, so I'm here. The kids are off of school. The grocery stores are ridiculous.
Oh,
Have you been to the store?
I quit going to the store. We have like a cow and a pig and some chicken in our freezer, so we're set for doomsday.
Yeah, same here. We bought like a half cow a few months ago, so we're pretty good. But I'm trying not to pay attention to stuff. Like I try to stay off the news. I try not to be on Facebook too much.
No, I've never watched. I've been listening to just full albums of live performances on YouTube. That's like just working and letting YouTube play out.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I've been doing like a lot of like comedy podcasts for Kreischer and stuff. Just try to be stupid and not, I don't know how anybody can watch like. I don't follow politics because I'm too dumb to like really get it. You know what I mean? So I don't get into it. I don't talk about it. But I don't know how anybody can watch any of these, like any of them. I don't care what one you're watching. I don't know how you can sit down and watch that stuff and not feel like you're being sold something.
Right.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
That's like, I tell my wife, like, I live in my own bubble, so I have my training group, my athletes, and Stoner Rock, and that's it. So, I just let her update me on what we should do.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So
you do a happy marriage.
Yeah, so pretty much I want to talk. You've helped me a lot. I trained at Westside, so I learned a lot of the stuff from either Lou or Josh Guttridge or Joe Bayless, guys that lived it and helped create it.
Right.
You have helped me take it and apply it to our athletes. And even when you were at Buffalo, you only trained at college athletes, obviously.
Yeah.
Mostly I'm working with middle school and high school. So, maybe tell us how you got started down that rabbit hole of powerlifting and box squats and slow athletes and all that.
All this shit that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You want to learn about the shit that doesn't work? You came to the right place.
It doesn't work, but our kids keep winning, so I don't.
That's like, I started training when I was 12, and we didn't have the internet, so we would our training information. I think you're a few years younger than me.
Yeah, I'm 30.
Yeah, okay. So a lot of our training information when we were teenagers, we'd have to go down to the grocery store and pick up the latest Muscle and Fitness.
Right.
And then every once in a while you get a good one like Muscle Media 2000 or whatever, or Muscle Mag. So
Muscle
there was the hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
There were nobody really trained where I grew up. I was the only kid in high school that lifted and stuff, so didn't have people to reach out to really. And then finally, when I was in college, we still I played D3 and we didn't really have a strength coach. And I was a big Mike Allstott nut swinger.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, right.
He was a brute.
Yeah, and he was fast, and I was like, what's this guy doing to train? And I was at college at that point, and then you kind of had the internet. So I was looking up trying to figure out how he was training, and there was an article where it talked about he was using chains on his squats and stuff. I was like, well, that sounds cool. So I kind of, started searching more on that, and then I started finding stuff with Louie and Dave's articles. And then I found Dave's article called Periodization Bible Part 2.
Right.
And that was I read it, and it was just everything made sense. You know what I mean? It was
right.
That sounds like how I should train. So I tried it. And that was before my senior year. And my senior year, I felt the best I ever had. I felt recovered, fresh, fast, explosive. And then, so like I tested right after season, I tested my bench. Like I gave myself like a week to rest, tested my bench, and it was only like 15 pounds off before season. So I was like, holy shit. Because usually after season, you're done. You know what I mean? So that was kind of how I stumbled onto it. And then fast forward a few years, realized I had to go back to grad school if I wanted to coach. And I knew Cheyenne Petrie was at UB at the time, who I had heard about from Elite, you know, because I was on Elite all the time trying to read and stuff. So I was like, we'll go up there and I'll go to grad school there. And if I can't make a contact with him, there's a couple pro teams or whatever, because where I was living, we were out in the middle of nowhere. So, you know, it wasn't going to happen down there. And then right at my last internship, I was supposed to intern under him, and then he left like 2 weeks before I was going to start.
Jeez.
So I was like, oh shit. Well, so whatever, I'm going to do the internship and finish. And then Buddy ended up coming in. So that was even better. You know, when I came into UB, we had Buddy, Julia, and Paul Childress all working there at the same time, who were all on Elite, you know, at the time. Yeah. So I was like, I kind of lucked out going to this little shitty school and had all these people. So it was just, and it helped that I had some background because I kind of been studying the stuff up until then. But then, like, you go see Paul squat 6 plates for speed work and stuff, and then you really kind of understand, holy shit. And that was probably another, like, when Paul was there in 07, we got to go backstage at the WPO. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So, like, watching those guys warm up, and they're just smashing 800 pounds like it's fucking 135. So I was like, if we can get athletes to do that, maybe scale down a little bit, obviously, like that's really tough to fucking deal with, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And then I just had those guys to learn from. So it was just, and things kind of just rolled from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty, I always look back, like when I started going out and doing seminars and stuff, like I came back to my assistant, I'm like, dude, you don't realize how lucky we are to have been around the people that we've had access to the last few years, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Paul, I like Paul. A bunch of your guys were just at a meet we were down at. I think a couple of them did a bench only or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so it's always good running into them and seeing them. So now your gyms are closed too, right?
Yes. I'm not sure how long. How long are you guys?
Into the future. Like, we don't know. So,
Don't know.
but what you said, like, about taking it and applying it to the athletes, I had the same realization when I started training with Josh Guttridge and I was going up to Westside. I thought I understood the Westside system, and this is not what the internet told me it's about at all. Like, these guys are lifting the heaviest weights I've ever seen faster than anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, I remember watching Josh Guttridge bench, I think it was like 7 plates and a double mini band off a 2-board, and it looked like 135. I mean, it flew, and I'm like, I was like 17 or 18 at that time.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. Those guys started helping me more. And I was like, all right, I understand I'm not working with lifters. That's not my clientele. But at the end of, they have to move fast, whether it's in the weight room, on the field, whatever. So how do I get what I'm doing? Because we were running like a linear model with all our athletes. And at that time, when we were more linear model, we kept getting to, like, it seemed like everybody could get to a certain point pretty quickly and then stop.
Right.
Like, we all our girls to like a 200-pound squat or like 180, somewhere in there. And then everything stopped. And then everything got slower. Like, they didn't look like they were moving very well. And that's when I started talking to Lou more. I talk to Lou more about sport training. I do about powerlifting.
Yeah, right.
That's where I think he's very undervalued. And when I started implementing it, I mean, we stay in a lot of speed strength stuff for most of our athletes training, not so much strength speed. And that, for us, it's been a game changer. We have kids doing dynamic effort work with higher weights plus accommodating resistance than what their old like 1 rep maxes are or were.
We started to see that too. Like after kids would be in it for a while, like I'd have them work up with a band or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of them were beating their old PRs plus the band tension, and it was faster.
Yeah.
They were like, and I would tell them, and they didn't even realize it because I didn't test max as much because I didn't care.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I just figured just train and you're going to get better and you're going to feel better. And then you tell them and they're like, oh shit, you know?
Right. And that's sort of the same thing we did. We do a lot of triples, not so much doubles. And the reason is I got it from Dan John. I don't know if it is, it's not scientific, so I'm probably wrong. But he said, you know, with athletes, you'll get 1 really good rep, 1 really bad rep, and 1 okay rep.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm like, okay, but you know, so we can get our volume in doing triples that way. And it's not getting into a fatigue state, but it's not, you know, and same as you, we don't like have scheduled maxes. Like we don't have max out week at Showtime. It's not, you know, we're taking a max on every lift and then we're going to do your sprint testing after that. Like I got away from that because I realized that's the dumbest thing ever. Like,
yeah.
All right, take a squat and a deadlift max and let's do a pro agility. Have fun with your hands.
Exactly.
So, but like the way we just auto-regulate based on their sports season, how they feel, how the weights are moving. And since we did that, dude, it's not even comparable.
Yeah.
Like, and it might be like week 1 of the wave, but I might see a kid, I'm like, yeah, this is supposed to be a fast day, but holy shit, you were crushing the weights. You want to take a weight?
Yeah.
You know, and some kids will never take a max because they just don't want to. I'm cool with that.
That's something I had to kind of understand. Like with our basketball guys, I would get pissed off because, like, you know, they weren't into the lifted, and I wanted, you know, my thought was if you guys would just do some max effort work, you'd be. And I tried to communicate this to them, like you would be so hard to deal with on the court. You have no idea because they're already good athletes. You know what I mean? They get pushed around and stuff. I'm like, you know, we had multiple guys that should have hit 4 plates on a yoke bar. Definitely had the ability, but they weren't into it or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just kind of had to take what I was going to get from them, and they still made a ton of progress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I was talking with Nick Bronco. I think at some point you have to, part of being a coach is not, you gotta find a program, adjust the program to your needs, but you also have to meet your athletes where they're at. You know, your program's dog shit if you don't adjust it to your base or to what your athletes need. So, you know, I tried this thing like, no, you got to max out because the program says we're taking a max. Like it doesn't, you know, I don't. And I used to have athletes max right before, like right up, you know, say season started next week. Like, okay, we might take a max this week. And I've even taken back and pulled the heaviest of their training back a couple weeks. So you can call it a peak phase or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And that's been even that, like, since all these little adjustments we've made each year seem to help a ton. Like, we don't throw everything out at once. We just tweak things here and there. But our kids, you know, it's funny because our kids go to their school or, you know, wherever, and they go, somebody will ask them, well, how much do you squat? And they're like, I don't know. Like, we don't squat great barbell.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Then people think I'm a moron. And they're like, I don't know, we stupid bar with handles, and we usually have bands or chains on it, and I did this much. And they're like, well, I don't even know what that bar is.
Yeah. And you don't have to answer this, but I'm going to guess a lot of those kids go to school and train, and they fall off. They feel shittier, and they don't perform as well. You don't have to answer, but I've heard this story before that happens a lot.
Yeah, I have no comment.
So you're saying like going into season, you're almost treating it like a meet where their heaviest stuff is a couple weeks out.
Yeah. That's I've never actually thought about that way, but yeah, their heaviest squat is usually about 2 to 3 before their season starts. And usually they have deadlift that week too. And then that way the deadlifting's done. And then what we did this year, and I'll never know if it worked because I don't see seasons starting. We went from super heavy with accommodating resistance for their Circa Max. And I don't tell them like, oh guys, we got a Circa Max phase coming up. Like I said, we're going to take a max with a band.
Right.
And, it's a purple band choked around a power rack.
Yeah.
But we went from that to how do I say this? Almost explosive strength, like very, very fast movement. Like everything was fast as shit for 2 to 3 weeks before season. And they were looking good. Like I'm sort of pissed that, everything's playing out how it did because like I was really excited to see how these kids transferred onto the field. So that's what we did. Again, is it right? I don't know. It was looking good. So, when our college kids go back, like we have pitchers, like D1 pitchers that are the fastest on their team for softball. So I don't know why a softball pitcher is the fastest one on the whole team, but we've had that happen more than 5 times.
It's probably from all the running you make them do, right? Miles and miles of running. And stadium stairs. That was always a popular one.
Yeah, and that's, maybe that's the next thing we'll talk about, the struggles you had. Like, the struggles some of our training doesn't really look that hard. It's not intense or whatever, kids aren't puking. And so
I never thought about that.
And it's, they can be a catch-22, but like, we've had sport coaches like, you need to train the kids harder. I'm like, hold on, you got to understand where we're at. Like, they're literally getting ready for season. Like, our ball busting training was like 10 weeks out. And now everything since then has been not tapering, just building, fixing any little nagging injuries we've had, just getting better and getting ready. Oh, damn it. Jarvis Performance just said he was told softball players need to run 3 to 5 miles a day to handle practice.
Yeah, I'm seeing those come in. I'm trying not to get pissed.
Damn it. From home to first is 60 feet.
Yeah.
So,
and then you stand there for 5 minutes.
In softball, in baseball, the chances of you hitting a double or triple are very low. So the way I look at it, you're either hitting a single or a home run or striking out.
Right.
So probably we just hit home runs every at bat. That's my preference.
Yeah.
Getting stronger helps. So get super strong, hit the shit out of the ball. That's, for us, the biggest carryover we've seen in softball and baseball is kids hit more home runs quicker than the following season. And that's even when I did a linear training model, like just the power output is so much more that they're hitting the ball and it's carrying further. But I don't know. We used to do 300-yard shuttles and all that, and we pulled all that back. I mean, our college kids over the summer, I would say, had 3 workouts where they ran 200 to 300 yards total volume.
Yeah.
It's an anaerobic sport. They're not cross-country runners. They're not soccer. And if you want to train that way, like I have a drag sled. I got our neighborhood's got a long strip of blacktop. Go drag the sled. You do 2 sled drags down and back in our neighborhood, you will be done conditioning. There will be no question, that was enough conditioning or not. So.
Yeah. And that kind of, like, to me, that kind of goes back to you said, like, training doesn't look that hard. Just because, like you said, you do the hard shit in the first few weeks, and then you're, for lack of a better term, in shape, and you can handle shit. Yeah. So, the average person jumps in, they're going to get their ass kicked. But your kids are at a level where you don't have to do that, and you can make more progress. It's so fucking stupid.
It all really clicked for me in August after a meet I did. A meet completely on a whim. I squatted 935 at West Side because Lou was like, hey, why don't you take a weight? I'm like, oh, whatever. Sure. Hit like a 50-pound, 60-pound PR. I'm like, oh, shit, I need to do a meet.
Yeah,
well, there was a meet the following Saturday. So 7-8 days later, I'm like, so I called Lou on Monday. I'm like, hey, man, I'm thinking about doing this meet. And he's like, well, yeah, do it. Like, he doesn't.
I can't picture him saying no to that.
Yeah. No, you didn't have a 12-week training cycle. It wasn't. No, he was all for it. So I went to the meet, squatted 930 or easier in the meet than I did the previous week in the gym. And dude, I stayed up that whole night, and I'm like, I cannot figure this out. Like I just had the hardest week of training. Like, I bench heavy, sure, did a deadlift on the Monday workout. The week before, it's a safety bar with a blue band, like hard training, and added 85 pounds on my total. Like, and I asked Lou, I'm like, I think I figured the system out. I've been here 5 years, and I think I just figured it out. And he's like, what do you think? I'm like, it's all about, it comes down to maintaining bar speed and very gradually increasing volume. I was like, if you can move more volume in a workout at the same speed, you're going to get stronger. And he goes, it took you this long to figure that out? I'm like, he's like, well, don't feel bad. No other coaches have figured it out yet.
Yeah, right.
So that's all I look at. I just make sure our kids are increasing their volume each week on the 3-week wave. Bar speed remaining about the same. Obviously, like as you get closer to strength speed waves, yeah, they're not going to move the same as explosive strength or even the beginning of a speed strength. But just and they're kids, so they can have a bad day. They break up with their boyfriend, girlfriend. Their bar speed doesn't mean dick, and that's when we might have them take a max or just back off completely.
Right.
So, but what were some of the issues you had at Buffalo? Like, was it, coordinating with coaches or because obviously you want to implement your training plan.
Yeah.
Get feedback without being overridden.
There's a lot of issues. Like most coaches were pretty good. And then you get a couple that are just like, it's like anything. You work with a group, you got to spend so much of your energy on like the 5% that's a pain in the ass.
Right.
You know what I mean? So most coaches were pretty good, let us do our thing. But then there was a couple that was like, they wanted to micromanage everything. Like one coach would not let us, like we had to run his program. I had multiple times where coaches would say, you're going to run this program. And I would talk to my administrator about it. And I was always trying to be very flexible with that. I understand their job's on the line, this and that. But when it got to a point where I felt like it was going to be a detriment to the kids, then I would, say, hey, maybe we should change this or that. Most of the time, they didn't give a shit what I had to say. And I even, there's a couple times I went to the administrator right above me, and I was like, here's what's going on. I explained to him. And he basically was like, yeah, just do what they want to do. Like, you have you got to keep them happy type thing.
So you didn't really have upper support.
No. And that's like, with my job, that's basically what happened. Like, looking back, there were some things that were kind of coming down the line that I didn't pay attention to. So, 8 months before I got let go, we changed, our AD left. And when he left, that's when things really started to change. You know what I mean? Like, the previous AD had my back. He gave me promotion, let me redo the room, thought we were doing a great job. And then the next guy came in, and, there was a couple coaches bitching about me because for whatever reason, I don't know. I went so far as to work with a private sector guy. That one coach brought a private sector guy in to work with our girls. I was like, okay, we'll work with them. We'll do it, whatever. And I told the trainer, I go, you watch. I go, shitty training and overtraining work just like peaking. I said, within 3 weeks, you're going to start seeing more kids with knee issues, and their hips and their shins are going to feel like shit. And it was like fucking clockwork. And I brought it up to the coach. I'm like, listen, you're doing all this stuff. They're going to start feeling bad. And I'm only bringing this up because I feel like we're hurting our kids. What the fuck do you know?
Wow. That's
Yeah.
that's most of the people I looked up to or have helped me a lot, like you, Hammer, Watt, and I'm sure probably dozens of others. That seems to be the story of their exit of collegiate coaching.
Yeah.
Administration change, all support gone, and within months, job gone.
Yeah. And I was always the guy, like, I would hear Hammer say stuff like, no one retires a strength coach. It's going to happen. My mindset was like, fuck that. That's fucking pussy shit. Like, we're going to fucking be so good that shit doesn't matter. And,
Right.
Then
I was thinking about it.
Then I was fucking out the door.
Strength coach is crazy because it's Watts brought up a good point. He goes, how do you measure good and bad? And it's one of the only jobs you can do good and get fired for doing good.
Yeah. You know what I think should be part of a strength coach's resume is fucking injury trends.
What was it?
Injury trends.
Oh, trends, yeah.
Like that would expose, like that will tell you whether they're doing a good job or not. And a lot of people will say, well, you can't prevent injury. Yeah, but if you're doing the right shit in the weight room, your fucking injuries will go down.
I would say I agree. So you cannot prevent injuries. Some kid gets his leg blasted with a football helmet sideways. Like, yeah, you can do TKs and glute ham bridges till you puke, but your ACL's gone. But if you have reoccurring trends year to year of shoulders, and like if your baseball team chronically has shoulder and elbow issues and nothing's getting better, then how is this possible? Like, that has to change. And I think that's how we've had such success in baseball and softball with those kinds of athletes, because I just said, okay, these kids are in internal rotation all the day. All they do is throw a ball and swing a bat. So, and, rotation, through the torso and all that. So we need to just do the opposite of that. So I just start having them row, any pulling movement, deadlift, a lot of static stuff, counteract all the rotational activity, like a lot of farmer's walks, basic strongman implements, not like, I didn't have them picking up Atlas stones or stuff like that, but just farmer's walk, all the one side loaded walks, stuff like that. And I taught them how to move, which was a byproduct of their strength level. Like, me and a coach yesterday were talking about it. Like, these kids can't land. You got them doing high level plyos.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. Still getting started on that one.
And like research there, like if you can't land, you shouldn't be jumping. and the number of, I don't know, I stay off a lot of the Instagrams because I can't handle all the repetitive high level. Like, if people understood, all right, back up more. I don't think anyone's actually read Super Training. And here's why. If you read Super Training and you read all these other manuals that everybody says they've read and understand, nobody would be doing half the stuff they're doing. Like depth jumps, the strength do depth jumps safely, or like repeated ballistics, and everybody says, oh, I've read strength, Super Training. I've read all of Lou's manuals. Like, really? And that's the best book. Like, my goal for this 2019 was to go back and start Super Training and read 5 pages a day. Ooh. And ended up rewriting Super Training essentially in a notebook by hand. Like, just taking. But the more I read it, the more I'm like, holy shit, this really makes sense. The way he writes is terribly complicated. But if you can break it down, it's very simple. Oh. Yeah. So it's very simple, but it just makes me wonder, like, how have we gotten this far away from basic strength exercise training?
Yeah. That's one of my bitches. Like, everybody talks about movement and movement quality, but the quality of the fucking lifting movements is not good. Like, not every, I'm not saying everybody's shitty, but like, pay more attention to the movements that are going to make the most difference in your kids' training, which is the weight room shit. Like,
Yeah.
Somebody preaches about movement all the time on Twitter, but then they put a video of their kids squatting and it's fucking atrocious.
Yep.
Like, get the fuck out of here.
And the best conversation I had was somebody told me box squatting is not sport specific to athlete sports. I said, our job is not sport specific. If we all acknowledge that we're essentially GPP coaches, then why does it matter if it's sport specific?
Yeah.
And when I said that, the person's like,
What's GPP?
Like, our goal is just make the kids a little bit stronger, a little more resilient to injury, and make them enjoy being in the weight room. Like, outside that, everything else is either a bonus or a negative. Like, you get a kid hurt in the weight room, you're in deep shit, regardless if private sector, college, high school. So I understand that, that aspect of it. And we don't have our kids do barbell good mornings because some of our kids squat like a barbell good morning.
Right.
So I don't want to reiterate that pattern, but that does not mean we don't do band good mornings, all this other stuff.
Right.
But just barbell good morning, that I would say that's the only exercise that I don't have them do.
Yeah.
And because they more practice with good squat technique. And I understand people say squatting is not the holy grail to athletic performance. I don't disagree, but I will say this: my kids that can squat, like move through the squat pattern the most efficiently, kick the most ass on the field.
Yeah.
And,
same.
So,
do a good job in the weight room, do a good job on the field.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, for me, that's been, squatting is our holy grail. Squatting and landing mechanics. And, we do box jumps. We don't do all the crazy jumps that everyone else does. All the crazy, like, one leg, lateral long jump, landing on the same leg. Like, I don't know how strong your kids are. Mine are not that strong.
Yeah, and they get that stuff all the time in their sport. They're in sport year round for the most part now. They're doing that shit all the time in their sport. You don't need to do more of it. That was part of the problem with the one team that went to the private sector place. He was like a speed and agility and functional guy, and he was having to do a bunch of agility and stuff on top of what they already had to do, like in off-season practices. So they all started feeling like shit, and I was, nothing you can do.
How do I say this? In your time coaching at Buffalo, did you almost have to alter your training based on how the kids were prepared coming in due to the increase in sport games played?
Yeah, you definitely had to. Yeah, it all had to be planned around your equipment and what they were doing in practice and stuff, how bad they were getting beat up.
But I mean, did you see like less generally prepared athletes incoming as freshmen as all the year-round participation increased?
You mean, yeah. When they came in, they weren't very well prepared, no matter what sport it was.
Right.
But then within a few, within a few months, they're good to go. Yeah, definitely.
Did you have would you have progressions and regressions for the kids that were coming in, or?
Not really, because it was like the stuff we did was so simple. You know what I mean? They would pick it up within like a month, anyways. So like that's why I like box squat so much, because it's so fucking simple. Everybody can learn it, and then we would start out with easier accessories, and as that was how we programmed too. We didn't program like sport specific or position specific. We'd program to their weight room ability.
So you coached.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just how they progress. So, like, is their weight room ability came up, so did all the other stuff. You know what I mean? Because their training's at a higher level.
Yes.
You know, like the big thing we did with box squats, we would just do speed work for the first month or 3 weeks or whatever it took to break them in. And then after that, we would let them start working up a little bit.
Wow. I feel some relief knowing I'm not the
Yeah, no, we didn't have to fucking PVC bar squat. We didn't have to, what's the fucking goblet squat? We put a bar in their back and let them do some lightweight and learn the movement, neurological movement patterns.
Right. And
yeah, we did that.
Like when I started Showtime, we had all that. Like we had, okay, show me you can do a body weight squat. Show me you can do a goblet squat. Show me you can do a PVC overhead squat. Like we did all that. And then I'm like, you know, if I got a group of 4 kids, one, he's ready to squat full go.
Yeah.
He's okay on the box, but not really anything else. And I'm like, these kids all just need to do the same thing, slightly modified. I don't, you know, am I supposed to hold the one kid back that he could probably squat 225 for reps?
Right.
So, and I was one day and we had a visitor. I realized Westside doesn't have progressions. Now, that's also a very specific gym. But what he does is he takes people through and they do their exercise. And then he gives them exercises based on the weaknesses through the movement.
Yep.
And so, again, I don't have to go to that extreme. Like, I'm not going to have somebody do a 5-inch deficit deadlift on their first day.
Right.
But, like you just said, like, okay, can they box squat with their body weight? Can they box squat with a bar? And once we did that, my brain, what's the word I'm looking for? Stress, or like, there was a lot less thinking.
Yeah.
And it was so much clearer. Brain fog.
Yeah.
Everything became so much easier. And we have kids now in the first block of training, they're squatting just like everyone else.
Yeah.
You know, instead of spending that whole first block teaching a movement pattern. And the thing I also learned, the more I was around youth athletes, external load is a hell of a thing to teach tightness and to teach it. An external load can cue the body to move correctly.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Like they have to do it right.
Right. And
that makes
I
sense.
start on accommodating resistance because that's a whole nother thing. But, you know, I've let go a little bit with our athletes training. I have a very base outline, and especially our older kids. Like, I've been trying this, like, what accessories do you want to do? What do you need to do before the workout? What do you need to do after?
Nice. Yeah.
And that gives, like, it's building trust. It's everything people talk about. Like, you know, we have such a good culture, but the coach has to dictate every movement in the weight room. Like, that's not a good culture. That's the dictatorship.
Yeah. You got to scream at them, and your assistants follow the kids and make sure they do all their sets and reps and fucking come on.
Yeah. You got to track everything into this app we all use, and if you don't do it, then you're running hills. Like, Jesus. Like, so what if a kid is supposed to do a 5-rep max and only gets 3? Then what do? Yell at them? Like, you have to get stronger. This, like, no, just adjust shit. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been interesting, and I'm sure it has been for you. And the things we learn as we get older. I also look at something, and there's times when my wife, who's a physical therapist, is in here, and I tell a kid something, she walks over to me, and she's like, "That's not right." I'm like, "What do you mean that's not right?" She's like, "That works in your lifting world. That doesn't work for people."
Right.
Okay. Or she'll point out something I verbally say as a cue, and she's like, "Have you thought about saying this?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I thought about that. I just didn't use it."
Just like I tried that, it didn't work. You're crazy.
So, no, I mean, is there anything else you want to touch base on?
Did you or do you, with your baseball, softball, do you do over any head pressing?
Yeah.
You just keep like how do you put it in? What are you doing with
It's
it?
mostly volume training, like just rep effort, if you want to call it that. But my thing, man, here's my thing. Like, those kids are expected to perform at a high level overhead. If they're never training overhead, I don't know how you expect them to perform at a high level overhead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and that doesn't mean like they don't train heavy overhead. It just means we usually stick to like sets of 6 to 10, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But it's accessory based, I would say.
Right.
You know, the way we rotate our overhead stuff, it's usually like, I'm trying to think, a half kneeling dumbbell press to a one arm overhead press to a push press to a split jerk. And then we just rotate through that way.
Oh, cool.
So, no, the split jerk's not really a overhead press, but it's a full body movement. But you still have to stabilize the dumbbell, which is what I care about.
Right. Right. Yeah. I didn't do hardly any. It's probably looking back something I could have done more with, you know, but that's why I asked, just kind of see how you put it in there.
It's in there. I just look at everything. Our kids generally come in at such a low level of preparedness. Like, you know, you look at your movement patterns. We have, you know, you need a vertical push, vertical pull, horizontal push, horizontal pull. Like just, you know, a hinge, single leg squat, or single leg push, single leg, double leg push, double leg pull. If we can cover all those movements in a weekly pattern, that's it. You know.
Right. Yeah, you're pretty good.
So yeah, but man, yes.
Yeah. I was thinking about the peaking thing you were talking about earlier. I used to do that, and I just like tried it out on my throwers, running like a circa max, like 3 weeks out. We would, I would increase the band tension, and then we'd work up on a max, and then like we would taper down into their big meat or whatever, working with like 30-40% bar of what they did on the max on the bar, 30-40%, doing doubles with the same band tension. So we're basically trying to get them faster as they go into the meet, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
And then we just started doing it with all the sports, and it's like it never, just like you said, like you were mad that like they got canceled because everybody was looking real good. We had the same thing, like everybody looked real fast and shit. It was just, it works, you know, because like people will say, oh, you don't need to use bands unless you squat 700 or whatever. Like I don't think that's the case, you know?
So I was that guy for a while.
Yeah.
Like, these kids can't squat 200 pounds. Why am I going to put a band on? And now the kids that can't squat, I put a band on. And,
right, because they had
like, I don't even remember who. I think we were squatting at West Side one day, and we used like double blue bands. So you're like over 400 pounds of band tension.
Yeah.
And when I took just the bar out, because at West Side you start with the bands on the bar. You don't squat the bar, then add a band, and then do that. Like, we started with double blue bands, and it hit me because I unracked that bar. And immediately, once the hooks got pulled, I'm like, holy shit. I need to be tight, right? Like, I need to be really, really tight. They got me. I'm like, this is what my kids, not a double blue band, but some extra back just to get tight. And dude, when we start doing that, and it might be a choked micro band or a choked mini band.
Yeah, you got to scale it for sure.
Yeah. But no, your peaking phase, I agree. That's almost exactly what we did. You know, just light, probably hand tension because you're using it with just, you know, you said throwers, I think.
Yeah, that's what we started with, and then I started doing it with everybody.
Yeah, so we just adjusted the band tension based on their squat maxes. So the kids that did more, you know, more during their circa max phase, they used more during the back off. Like, but yeah, it sounds like me and you are secretly on the same page. I probably stole it from you somewhere.
Well, I've stole from you too. Like, hey, what are you guys doing down at West Side right now? Like, how are you doing your circummax? Goes both ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Going up there tomorrow. Going up to the gym tomorrow just to hang out because I don't have anything else to do other than talk to people about lifting weights right now. So, and I saw somebody in the questions asked what we're doing during the shutdown. I'm doing a lot of at-home programs for our athletes. A lot of our athletes still need to train.
Yeah.
So we're getting them programs. Our current clients, we're doing a lot of custom programs for their house. So based on what they have, because we can't have anyone in the gym. Like I just heard of 2 gyms getting fined, I think like $5,000. Yeah.
Are you allowed to be in there and train? You just can't have people in there?
I don't know. I'm taking equipment home.
God.
So
It's crazy.
like I'm in my office right now, just getting some office work done.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out the work from home thing yet because I got a PlayStation 2. So usually it turns into me playing video games. But like I'm sure this is affecting you, with everything being down. How's it affecting you? And are you changing stuff?
Not a whole lot. I think the biggest thing is people don't want to spend money right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which I understand. I don't know, but I also heard interest rates are lower.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So maybe if you're trying to get a fucking loan, maybe it's a better time to get your equipment. Like this can't, famous last word, like this can't last forever. You know what I mean? Like the other countries that have dealt with this, from what I've heard, there seem to be getting things going again. It's actually like not being at the gym as much as I hate it is probably good because I'm getting some shit done that's kind of been on the back burner. You know what I mean? But we all like, I don't know. I don't know if it's like hurting business real bad, but I think it's, I think everybody's taking a little bit of a shot right now.
Oh yeah. But I don't know what you've seen. I really think it's going to be really interesting in the fitness world when this all settles. I think you're going to see a lot of stuff change and a lot of how people not handle their finances, but how they're making money.
Yeah.
I think change. I think you're going to see a lot of companies realize that maybe they can't keep people in the office all day. I think employers are going to have to change and be more flexible with working from home or time off, whatever it is. So I really see a lot of good change coming out of all this. And not obviously the fucking plague is not a good thing, but
right.
But once the dust settles, I really do think, and maybe it's just me being optimistic, but I know for us, it's going to change things how we operate on a day-to-day basis. Some people might be happy with the changes, some might not, but we just have to. I think everybody's going to realize to be more prepared. Not that you can prepare for something that's unknown, but having a B, and C plan, I guess.
Yeah, right.
So I'm glad I got my hope. I'll say that. So I'll be walking some squats out for the first time in 5 years. Well, I just did the WPO, so I'm not.
Right.
So this will be my first squat workout. So I'm going to do like 3 or 4 plates and a light band or something for some doubles. And
yeah, I got you.
Just call it a day there, man.
Yeah. I've been kind of banged up lately, so I'm kind of like, all right, I'll just sit around and rest and eat, and maybe it'll actually help me in the long run.
Right.
I'm sure if we get to a couple weeks in, I'm gonna start getting itchy to go do something, but